The New York Giants have signed a quarterback. What's going on, everybody? Nick Falato here to discuss Jameis Winston. According to Jordan Schultz, he has signed a 2-year deal worth up to $16 million in incentives, but the base salary is $8 million, so $4 million a year. This doesn't exactly scream starter money, and I don't think the New York Giants are out on Aaron Rodgers, nor are they out on drafting a quarterback at 3 or possibly trading up. Who knows how the draft will materialize? But one thing is certain. The Giants do at least have a quarterback that is not named Tommy DeVito on their roster. And I did a breakdown of Jameis last month over at Big Blue View. If anybody wants to go and check that out, hit the Google machine, it's there. But today I really want to focus on 3 aspects of Jameis's game that will significantly help the New York Giants. Now, we'll go over some of the negatives. I think a lot of people know famous Jameis and some of the drawbacks of his specific skill set. But the 3 things I want to focus on when it comes to Jameis Winston are his off-script big plays, his penchant to push the ball vertically, and how he accesses every inch of the football field, and how that can bring Brian Daboll's offense to a place that we have not seen yet with the New York Football Giants. We have to face the facts here. In 2024, the Giants were tied with the New England Patriots with only 34 explosive passing plays, and that, of course, is tied for last in the National Football League. In 2023, the Giants ranked 25th with 44 explosive passing plays. Tyrod Taylor constituted for 16 of those explosive passing plays, Tommy DeVito for 19. A total of 25 of the 44 explosive passing plays were between those 2 quarterbacks. And in 2022, the playoff year, the New York Giants were dead last in the National Football League with 28 explosive passing plays. That's very low. Jameis Winston is the type of quarterback who can rectify that issue. I'll roll through some plays here and start talking about some of the other stats that we have to address when it comes to the difference between Jameis Winston and anything else the New York Giants have had consistently play at quarterback. And I'm not trying to take any kind of pot shots at Daniel Jones, but it's only fair to acknowledge Daniel Jones since he was the signal caller of this offense since 2019. With that said, let's take a look at Jameis Winston's passing chart and Daniel Jones's passing chart up until week 7 of the 2024 season. So these are all of Jameis Winston's passes from last year. And here are Daniel Jones's up until week 7. This is courtesy of Dougie Analytics. Go follow Dougie Analytics on X, on Twitter. He's the man. And in 2024, on 329 dropbacks, Jameis Winston completed 10 of 30 throws of 20-plus air yards. That's 33%. That's on 329 dropbacks. Daniel Jones in 2024, 689 dropbacks. He completed 6 of 28, a 21% rate on throws with 20-plus air yards. So you're talking 360 less dropbacks for Jameis Winston. Jameis Winston's big-time throw percentage is 3.8%. His turnover-worthy play percentage is 5.2%. That's very high. That led the NFL in 2024. These are all 2024 numbers. His yards per attempt was 7.2, and his average depth of target was 9.7 yards. Daniel Jones had a 1.9% big-time throw rate. It's very low, but his turnover-worthy play rate was 2.2%. That's sufficient. That's solid right there, but that also comes with a more pusillanimous approach. His yards per attempt was 6.1 yards, and his average depth of target was 7.5 yards. Again, Winston led the league in turnover-worthy play rate of quarterbacks that had at least 20% of their team snaps in 2024. Jones ranked in the top 10 of that turnover-worthy play rate. However, Jones finished bottom 3 in big-time throw rate. And we'll go over exactly what Jameis Winston offers, some of the drawbacks of Jameis Winston, and the differences in styles of play and how that can allow Brian Daboll to access a different level of offense, something maybe we have not seen quite yet, especially if everything clicks. Let's get into these plays. Let's start with Jameis Winston's ability to maneuver the pocket, keep his eyes downfield, and really just have that desire to target down the football field. Here we see it with the New Orleans Saints against Brian Flores' defense, uber aggressive defense, throws a lot of different curveballs at you. Jameis Winston hits that back foot, steps up in the pocket, looks like he's going to run, but he has his eyes downfield. He has a double concept coming over the middle of the field with Chris Olave on that dig, and he puts just enough touch to get the football over the linebacker, Ivan Pace Jr., and allow Chris Olave to beat, I believe that's Patrick Peterson here. Condensed set. You have the tight end clear out 24. And then you have Chris Olave win inside. And now it's just on Jameis Winston to put enough touch and layer the football over the top of this linebacker. And he does so when he had an opportunity to run for the first down. One of the reasons why I love Jameis Winston is he will consistently do this. He has opportunities to use his legs, but he keeps his eyes downfield and looks for that big play. And you can see the touch right over the top of number 40 there. Right over the top, Chris Olave leaps, grabs it, and it's an explosive play rather than just a first down on a 5-yard rush. And then you put yourself into a position where you can get hurt. Here we see it to the backside. And I love this because you see Jameis Winston rolling towards the front side, which is the boundary side. Shotgun play. You have the motion. Get two receivers, 2x2 set on this side. Now, Jameis Winston looks towards the two receiver side to that boundary, and you have four players, four Pittsburgh Steelers, that is, to the boundary side. Jameis Winston steps up, noticing that he has an alley to run, and instead of looking at the two boundary side receivers, he's going to throw across his body a little bit, which is another reason why he gets himself into trouble, but he feels the coverage because he sees that safety sitting there by the 10-yard line, and he understands that if Jerry Jeudy breaks this upfield, he's going to have him wide open in between three Pittsburgh Steelers. It's exactly what he does. It's this feel, this creativity. He's not the most athletic guy in the world, but he can hit plays like this. And I just love the awareness and the ability to keep those eyes downfield. Just gets rid of the football before he gets cold clocked. He was going to do it again from play action with the Browns. Hits the backside dig. Love that. This ends up going all the way for a touchdown. 89-yard touchdown. Going to go into play action, hit his back foot, steps up because he feels the rush, even though the tackle ended up taking care of it. Avoids a sack. Gets his eyes downfield, hits that backside dig, which is already coming across the field because he sees that safety react to Njoku. You have the clear out. And then Jerry Jeudy beats his assignment. Take it all the way to the house on a 1st and 10 play. I'll see it right here again. You can watch Jameis's eyes. Looking at that side. Now he makes eye contact with Jeudy from the backside. Catch, run, touchdown, Cleveland Browns. Explosive play created. You're going to see him again step up and around. He has plenty of space to run. He sees the defense. He sees how this flat corner gets caught. It's a cover 2 defense. Elijah Moore is going to run past. You see him sink to the flat. That flat cornerback to the field side. Looks for any out route, any backside crosser. He's attempting to pass off Moore to the safety, but the safety is going to react to the number 2 receiver to that field side. And Jameis is able to feel out that coverage, see the too high shell, and understand that since that cornerback is sitting flat, he's squatting down, and Moore's going to be open if he can gun this football in. That's exactly what he does. And he has enough arm talent and arm strength to put that high, good velocity, good touch, where only his receiver can catch it, making the defense pay for their reactions post-snap while recognizing the defense and maximizing this play when he could have easily have just ran with the football. Puts that nice and high, only his receiver can go and grab it. Touchdown, Cleveland Browns. Now, these are plays right here that I absolutely love. And this is something that we've seen defensive coordinators call against Daniel Jones. We have a 3-by-1 set with the number 2 receiver to the 3 receiver side and the tight end condensed. So that number 2 receiver, as you can see on the screen, he is on the hash, and you have the outside receiver to the 3 receiver side on the top of the numbers. But I want you to pay attention to number 26's leverage. Defensive coordinators consistently ran this type of defense against the New York Giants when Daniel Jones was the quarterback. Watch how 26 stays inside. So he is passing Chris Olave off to the safety, but he takes these steps inside because this is a field side throw from Jameis Winston. He is not expanding outward. No one is outside the numbers right now. Now, 26 loses his space on the field here, but we've seen consistently a lot of teams play the Giants, and a lot of teams around the NFL do this. That's why having a quarterback who is willing to challenge every inch of the field from the field side, that means the wide side of the field, it's vital, it's crucial, it's important. And here, you see how 26 takes those steps because this is an inside release. He takes those steps, and he's disregarding the fact that there's no defensive player outside the numbers, and you just have a safety who's about 10 yards away from you. So he's passing the safety off and disregarding completely that this could be an out route, which it is. And Jameis Winston recognizes the coverage lapse, and he fires this football into Chris Olave for an explosive play. I can't tell you how many times we've seen defensive coordinators call this similar defense against the New York Giants over the last 6 years, and you never see a throw like this from the far hash. It just doesn't happen. A lot of quarterbacks aren't willing to make those throws. Jameis Winston is not reluctant. Jameis Winston will make these throws time and time again. And when you have a wide receiver like Malik Nabers, defenses want to roll coverages towards him. And in order to do that, you might want to cheat inside when a ball is on a hash. Jameis Winston is going to make you pay if you do that. And that's what I want in a quarterback. I want a quarterback who is going to force the defense to defend every single blade of grass, every single turf, whatever you want to call it. Doesn't matter. Here you can see Jameis step up, maneuvers the pocket well, right? Hits that back foot, feels a rush, steps up, resets himself, fires the football. Leverage got caught too far inside for 26. Olave makes the catch. I want to see that. You see it here again against those Carolina Panthers. It's another play. Excellent example of it. You have the ball on the far hash from shotgun, 2 receivers to that field side. Watch 24 right before the snap. He's going to take that step. He's about 2 yards outside the numbers initially, and then he takes the step to the bottom of the numbers. And what does he do? Once Olave eats into the cushion of 24, 24 gets into a quarter turn, asks to the sideline, zone technique, and he's inside. Just baiting Jameis Winston to throw it towards the sideline, just baiting Jameis Winston to throw to this outside leverage. Saw this a lot with the New York Giants. Jameis takes the opportunity, puts it outside the numbers, and Chris Olave does a great job using his body on this play. That's not necessarily the point. The point is, it's a 3rd and 6, late in the second quarter. The Saints are trying to drive down the football field, and Jameis Winston recognizes the coverage. Doesn't matter that it's the field hash, sees the inside defender, knows he has all the space to work with from the numbers to the sideline, and then fires his football. Allows Chris Olave to make this catch. And it's a little bit too inside, but it's still very catchable, and it made the defense pay for exercising inside leverage whenever the quarterback was on that field hash. And this is the second time in this specific game that Jameis Winston did that against the Carolina Panthers. Because you have this heavy blitz look. Blitz bails a little bit. Jameis still fires that football, has the one-on-one, leverages to the offensive side if the quarterback is willing to pull the trigger. And that's exactly what he did. He's against the Saints. This is a great play by the wide receiver as well. As Jameis Winston hits that back foot from the shotgun, you're going to see a creative coverage where you're going to have that flat receiver just open. But Carolina is going to bail. It looks like it could be cover 3. It looks confusing at first, right? It could be an inverted cover 2. Could just be cover 2. But you're going to have 4 guys bail to the deep into a cover 4, and you have 2 Carolina Panthers on that outside receiver. And the outside receiver is just going to hook around the second deep fourth defender and then go underneath the opposite deep fourth center defender as Jameis Winston steps up into the pocket and looks. You can see how he looks, and then he acts as if he's going to throw into the flat. I love that little subtle move because that gets both of the defenders at the top of the screen on the receiver who ends up catching the football to bite underneath. And then Jameis puts the football out there. Great route by the wide receiver to undercut and make this catch. First down. It's a 3rd and 17. That little move right there by Jameis Winston to get both of those defenders. It's very subtle. And Jameis was probably planning on throwing it in that direction, but he saw that he didn't need to after those defenders abandoned their responsibility and pass it off to the other center fourth defender. And that center fourth defender got undercut by the wide receiver. So an excellent play by the wide receiver. Good feel in the pocket from Jameis Winston. Uses his eyes, uses his body, fires the football, quick release, first down in a big situation for the New Orleans Saints. Here against Cleveland, it's a 4th and 10 play. Recognizes the zone coverage. Jameis Winston does. Fires the football with anticipation. After he hits that back foot, a 5-step drop out of the shotgun. A lot of that in Cleveland Browns. They do 7-step drops. They do some crazy stuff over there in Cleveland. And he's firing that football. Look, right as he hits that back foot, before Jerry Jeudy is even hooked around that outside underneath defender, he's firing that football. Jeudy catches the ball, gets down, first down. Jameis Winston is a type of quarterback too. Didn't happen on this play, where he'll throw into the second window of plays, right? He can exercise patience, which isn't necessarily synonymous with Jameis Winston because Jameis Winston will also rush some throws. It's the roller coaster that is Jameis Winston. But you could see second window throws like we just saw here to Jerry Jeudy. This is a well-designed play by Kevin Stefanski where you're going to have the motion. You're going to fake the toss. You can see the Los Angeles Chargers react. Those defenders take Nick Chubb. And watch how Jameis Winston wants to throw this football initially, but pulls it down because it's not there. Has that pump fake, and then he hits the second window right past that linebacker. And we'll see it from a better view here. Great play design and good play by Jameis. Jameis fakes it, acts like he's going to throw, gets 22 to step up, resets his feet, and there's that second window to Jerry Jeudy. 55 is just out of position. Find the soft spot in the zone coverage. Make the defense pay. Here against the Seattle Seahawks, 1st and 10 play action, something he ran quite frequently in Cleveland. Hits his back foot, touch over the middle of the field to Cedric Tillman. Tillman releases, amazing release to the inside, and Tillman gets just enough depth to find that soft spot behind the linebacker in this cover 3 shell. The middle of the field closed safety right there. 1st and 10, another 1st and 10. Let's just keep building, boys. Let's keep building. Good play by Jameis. Jameis looks off, doesn't like what he sees to his left, fires his football, and look at the touch on it. Right where it needs to be. Beautiful pass over the middle of the field. So he could target the middle of the field. He could target outside the numbers. Pushes vertically. All the things I want in a quarterback. Here he hits the wheel route to Kendry Miller. Allows Kendry Miller to run underneath the wheel. Gets to that back foot. Fire the football. Miller runs underneath it. Leads him in stride. 1st down. You're going to see it again. Feels the leverage of the defender right where it needs to be. Here against the Kansas City Chiefs. Back from his Saints days. Diagnoses the cover 1. Has the middle of the field closed safety deep. 17 does a good job just establishing a little bit of a vertical advantage. And he puts that football right where it needs to be. McDuffie almost gets his hand on it. I believe that's McDuffie. Gets that back foot. Look at the ball placement on that. Allows A.T. Perry to fall into the end zone and then fumble it, but it was counted as a touchdown. Now, let's get into some of these drawbacks because we've been praising Jameis Winston. I like Jameis Winston, been a Jameis Winston fan for quite a while, but the Jameis Winston experience has its pitfalls, and we're going to see some of them right now. Here against the Kansas City Chiefs, you're going to get a cover 2 rotation, and this is an interception from last season off of play action. Deep drop by Jameis Winston, steps up, tries to squeeze this seam route against cover 2. But if you look pre-snap, man, this is just a great rotation by Steve Spagnuolo. He does this quite often. You have a cover 3 type of look, and they're going to rotate to a cover 2. You're going to get that shell. You're going to get the linebacker to also drop to a depth. Once Jameis Winston goes into that play action, he hits that back foot. He sees the safety towards the number 2 receiver side that he was targeting. Open his hips, but you see the inside leverage. Now, if this was cover 3, like it was pre-snap when Jameis Winston did this checks, and if he thought 27 was that safety, he might have some leverage. But Cook over here, the safety who ends up coming away with the interception, keeps his eyes and stays square to the receiver that is on his side while also using his peripheral vision to watch anything from the backside. So once Jameis Winston decides to throw this football right as the wide receiver breaks, Cook is right on it. He's flipped his hips already. He's going to undercut this pass. This is Jameis confirming what he thought he saw and then trying to let this football rip and use his arm talent to get it into a tight window. But Cook was on top of it and ends up being an interception. I'm not going to say Jameis Winston can't process things pre to post snap if the defense is vastly different because I've seen him do it. But he does get himself into some trouble when he tries to trust his arm talent a little bit too much and squeeze a football into a spot where maybe he didn't know a defender was, or he thought the defender was a little bit further away than he actually was in reality. Unfortunately, we'll watch it from this angle now. You see the rotation. 6 gets into a position. Jameis didn't even look towards where 6 was. The rotation is happening right as he snaps that football. And 6 gets depth. Stay square, stay square. Jameis, his stripe of his helmet still hasn't looked that way. Hits that back foot, sees the safety, sees where the underneath defender is, thinks he could squeeze it in. And at that point, 6 already has a beat on it, and it's an interception. Here we're going to see another very nice adjustment from Brian Flores' defense, and Patrick Peterson comes away with this interception on a 1st and 10 when he was the quarterback of the New Orleans Saints. We're going to see an inverted cover 2. Peterson's going to take a deep half. See Harrison Smith take the deep half, and then the safety, who looks like he could be a deep half defender, sinks to a Tampa 2, so this is an inverted cover 2. Jameis Winston gets that snap from the shotgun. You have the 3 receiver side. Clear out. He tries to throw it, and it's just a bad decision because 3 purple jerseys are in that area. And I just don't think Jameis Winston knew this coverage once he threw it. And he's not even taking a shotgun snap, or he's not even taking a play action snap. This is from the shotgun. And he tries to fire this football in, and it's overthrow first off, and it's just right into coverage. So sometimes Jameis Winston, he'll do these things. Giant fans need to be aware of this. I'm sure they are. They've watched enough Jameis Winston at this point. This is also a part of the experience that is Jameis Winston. Just threw that into a place where the football should not have been thrown. Here against the Vikings again. This is more of a mistake on Alvin Kamara, who just does not pick up the blitzing linebacker. Jameis takes a massive shot. I don't really want to hold this against Jameis Winston too much, but this is a 3rd and 3 play, and he sees the one-on-one situation, but you have inside leverage. Again, ball in the middle of the field, and if you look at the pre-snap leverage, it's off. It's just backpedaling before Jameis Winston gets hit, and the cornerback is just in prime position to come away with this football. He's excellently placed. I'm imagining Jameis Winston was either trying to put this towards the sideline or directly out of bounds. I feel like an idiot sitting here criticizing Jameis when, look, 44, Martellus is right in his face. He takes this massive shot. He's just trying to get rid of the football. But, when a quarterback throws an interception like this, even with the duress that he was under and the pressure and the hit that he took, he's going to hold himself accountable, I'm sure, of that type of mistake, even though it was Alvin Kamara who should have picked up this defender, and it was a lapse in pass protection. Still got to protect the football. Can't turn it over. This ends up just basically being a punt, though, and Jameis still takes the hit. Here against Baltimore, he almost throws an interception to the safety on this 2nd and 10. Going to get this deep route at the bottom of your screen. Jameis hits his back foot. Go back. Shotgun. Hits his back foot. You have the 2 safeties. Cover 4. He sees the deep 4th defender towards the bottom of the screen react to this backside crossing route. And he thinks he's going to have a one-on-one on the deep post with number 21 in outside leverage. But he doesn't necessarily account for the overlapping defender, the other deep 4th defender, who almost narrowly came away with this interception. But again, this is Jameis trusting his arm talent, trying to get the football in there. And the Ravens defender makes a good break on the football and uses his range and his awareness and processing to get over there. But I get what Jameis Winston is trying to do on this play. And he's, again, under a lot of pressure. But that's another almost interception on a 2nd and 10. Here he does something similar against the Chiefs. Almost throws an interception. 1st and 10. He hoped that the defender would take that Nick Chubb route and get underneath. And you could see how the defender initially passes off Elijah Moore to the safety. You see that right here. See, look at that hand. He's passed him off. Jameis diagnosed that, saw it, but the defender sunk still. So I'm guessing Jameis Winston said, well, it's passed off. Maybe this defender will react to the 2 routes I have in his zone underneath. But the defender did a good job sinking underneath, probably because he's watched a lot of Jameis Winston tape and knows Jameis Winston is going to let it rip if he has that opportunity. But this almost comes away with another interception from the far hash, though. I love the fact that he's even making throws like this, but it's the honey hole was not open at all between that flat defender and that deep safety. You say the safety has his hips angled that way anyways. Almost a pick. We'll see it from this. I like how Jameis tries to sell these underneath ones. Takes that just a little step, shoulder turn, realizes it's not necessarily there. Seems like he's a little hesitant to throw this football, but the pressure starts getting home, throws it, almost picked. And that's this brief review of Jameis Winston. I hope you guys enjoy this. What he can add to the Giants offense from a vertical standpoint, from a non-reluctant standpoint, just being a quarterback who was going to at least threaten defenses and put it in the defense's mind that you need to guard everywhere. But at the same time, I might turn the football over a little bit. And that's kind of the Jameis Winston experience. Look, the Giants received, I think, a massive boost to their potential. Jameis, he's the antithesis of Daniel Jones. He will challenge the defense. He will push the ball vertically. He will keep his eyes downfield under pressure. But in doing so, there is a higher risk associated with that style of play, which is the modus operandi of Jameis Winston. And it's one reason why he's finished with over a 5% turnover-worthy play rate in 6 seasons. Excellent quarterbacks possess a high big-time throw rate and a low turnover-worthy play rate, right? Like the Joe Burrows, the Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady's of the world. Exciting quarterbacks do possess high big-time throw rates, but exciting does not always mean excellent. And that's the story of Jameis Winston up until his age 31 season. Could he be Daboll's reclamation project? That's a fair question to ask. The Geno Smith of the Giants. It seems unlikely, but many thought Geno and Sam Darnold's path were unlikely to transpire well after their first shot soured. I do not have any delusions of grandeur about Jameis Winston, yet I remain optimistic about a stylistic change and approach that is dramatically opposed to the uber-conservative and, dare I say, boring New York Giants offense that I've studied for the better half of a decade. So I welcome the inexpensive change and let the chips fall as they may. For Big Blue View, I'm Nick Falato, signing off. Take care of each other, everybody, and have a lovely day.